Tracy with Watch Kansas, and I'm talking to Tracy this week. We've got Laurel Stifler with the Kansas Federation of Republican Women. Laurel, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself to Kansas and kind of explain kind of what you do with the KFRW and a little bit of your political background?
Sure. As Tracy said, my name is Laurel Stifler, and I am the current president of the Kansas Federation of Republican Women. The Kansas Federation is the longest running women's political group in the state of Kansas. We were formed in 1930, became part of the National Federation of Republican Women in 1938, and we've been going strong since our founding with our purposes to encourage women to get involved in the cause of good government and to fight for our Republican values and make sure that Republicans get elected.
Excellent, and I think that's what most of our watchers out there want to do, is they want to see Republicans get elected.
That's right.
Excellent. Now, it's Kansas Federation of Republican Women. That means I have to leave my significant other home when I come to meetings?
Absolutely not. Actually, your significant other can come to our meetings. Men can join as associate members, but since it is the Kansas Federation of Republican Women, full membership is reserved solely for women.
I asked that question knowing the answer because I go to a lot of the meetings, and I've been to a few meetings. I think the men may have come really close to being 50-50.
It is, and we enjoy having men come to our meetings because one of our primary objectives of the Kansas Federation is for education. We, all of the clubs inside the Kansas Federation of Republican Women focus on educating on current topics. We hear from legislators on current legislation. We also hear on a national level, the legislation going on a national level. We learn about it, we study it, we act upon it, become advocates for or against legislation. And it's not necessarily just legislation, it's also different topics. For example, we have monthly training meetings on the issues. This past on the issues for June was on the dark money that comes into Kansas. And we've had experts on the border, the southern border, and human trafficking. We've had experts on taxes, election integrity, the evils of DEI and CRT, and many other issues. So we enjoy having men come to our meetings and even attend our statewide meetings via Zoom, just because we believe that the more we know truth, the more we speak truth.
I agree 100%. And I have one thing I have noticed, and it's not all the time, but sometimes, is that men and women sometimes think differently, and the Central Committee sometimes has, in the counties, sometimes have just a little bit of a different thought process, even when the chairmen are women. And that's it. I just know sometimes there's a little bit of a difference in the guests that may be chosen sometimes. So if you think you're going to your Central Committee meetings all the time, so you're listening to everybody, you're not. A lot of times the Central Committee and your KFRW county organizations work together, so that way they get different speakers all the time, and a lot of times it's a completely different set that they're pulling from. So you need to make sure that you hit your KFRW meetings also.
That's right.
Now, today we're not just talking about the KFRW, we just kind of wanted to get a little bit of brief background so everybody understood where we were coming from. We want to talk about some proposed rule changes for the Kansas GOP. There's been some rule changes that have been proposed, and you'll have them up on the screen. You can read them. I'll put them up there. I'll leave them up there for plenty of time for everybody to read them, and I'll also put them in the comments below, so you'll have a chance to see all of that. Now, with this, they're trying to, it appears, streamline. And
they say streamline.
Streamline, yeah, I'm being nice on that one. It seems very exclusionary. They're trying to remove a large portion of who's always been on the executive committees. You probably know a little more about it.
That is correct. So currently the Kansas GOP Executive Committee, part of the makeup of the Executive Committee includes our elected officials in their capacities, whether it's the Speaker of the House or if we were in the minority leader. If we had the governor or a representative for the governor in all of our statewide electeds, and the chair or president of different organizations that include the Kansas Federation of Republican Women, the Black Republican Council, the Republican National Hispanic Assembly, the Young Republicans, and College Republicans. The reason that the executive committee, as it is today, was created was for multiple purposes. One of the purposes is because of the perspective that each of our groups bring to the executive committee.
I love that.
And because not everybody is going to be able to go into different demographics and have the same type of influence that others have. That each of our organizations are very unique because of the perspective that they bring, not only to the executive committee, but when we are out in our communities and when we are doing what each of our organizations do, when we are doing what we do, we are the grassroots. We are on the ground. We are out there knocking on doors. We are doing phone banking. We are engaging with the community. In every single one of these types of demographics. And so the College Republicans, they bring a very valuable insight to that age group. We are the Republican Party, the party of Lincoln. We are the Big Tent Party. We are the ones that fought racism. We are the ones that fought so that women would have the right to vote. And when the vote was taken in, and when we got the right to vote in 1920, the Republican Party has always been the Big Tent Party.
Yes.
to truly, since Independence Day is coming up, for truth, justice, the pursuit of happiness,
Yes.
And I think the Republican Party, more than any other, whether it's Libertarian, Democrat, we have fought for equal justice. So the Republican Party, more than any other, is the Big Tent Party. We have fought the Republican Party and the party of Lincoln. We fought to end slavery. We fought to get women the right to vote. We have fought for every constitutional principle for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We are the Big Tent Party. And in order to stay the Big Tent Party, the perspectives of every single one of these groups is needed and warranted on the executive committee because of the insight that they bring, what each of these groups bring to the table. And if we are going to continue to grow and keep Kansas red, I believe that these groups need to stay, to be at the table.
I agree. I live in Wyandotte County, and that is definitely a melting pot. And without the voices of two of the groups that I know that they're looking at removing at this point in time, which are the Black Republican Council and the Hispanic Council, that really cuts out speaking to a lot of Wyandotte County.
Yes.
And we're just now starting to get to where we're getting Republicans in office. We've got a representative, we've got some people on the UG, Unified Government, and this is really the first time this is happening recently where we've got these voices. And we also have a lot of young people. These voices are the ones that are telling us what they're thinking. I don't always know what a 20-year-old's thinking.
Right.
That ship has sailed a few decades ago.
Yeah.
That voice needs to be at the table.
Yes, absolutely. We are better together.
100%.
And the more broad you can make it, that big tent, the better off we are going to be. We as the Republican Party, when we look, as I mentioned, of what all we have fought for and all we have accomplished, we can't do that if the perception and what the rules change is providing that perception that there is not a place at the table for those who want to come and have this dialogue. And it is one vote. Everybody has one vote. The entire executive committee. There's nobody gets a more than one vote. It is equal playing at the table, not only for the executive committee, but for those who are delegates from their district. They will say that we are super delegates, and that's not true, because we each have one vote. We are elected by our organizations.
That was, I was going to talk about that, yes.
Yes, we are elected by our organizations. It is, each of our organizations have, each of us have been involved for years and years and years. And that we have earned the respect of our organizations. The vote that was voted on when I became president is actually larger than the executive committee for the state Kansas GOP delegation is larger. So any argument that I believe those on the rules committee who voted for it, because it's very important to understand that not everybody on the rules committee is in favor of this. There are at least 4 or 5 that are against it. But those on the rules committee who put forth their arguments that were super delegates, that's just simply not true. Any argument that they provide, I believe, it just to me states that it tells me that they are tone deaf to the situation that we are in. And like I said, perception means everything. And whether or not they intend for this to be a sexist or a racist or move on their part, God will judge that heart. But what I am saying is that the perception that they have provided, not only to Kansas, but to everybody outside of Kansas, is that they do not want any diverse voices coming to the table.
Now, the leader of the Democrats recently said that if the Republicans are being pushed out, then they'll accept them into the Democrat Party. Do you feel at any point in time that even though they are trying to streamline, any voices are actually being pushed out? Are we still the big party? Are we still the party that accepts everyone? Even though there may be some leadership changes, we're still the same party.
We are still the same party, regardless of what their actions are. That's not what the Republican Party is about, period. So I understand why the chair of the Democrat Party said, yes, we'll accept you. Of course they will. They want their Democrat policies. But our values do not align with the Democrat Party, or else we would be Democrats. And we truly are the party of everyone, that Big Ten party, that we are diverse. We believe in, we don't believe in collectivism. We believe in the individual rights, freedom of speech. And that's not the Democrat Party today.
No.
And so I don't think, even though the perception is that they are forcing our organizations out, those of us that they want to force off of the executive committee by the vote, is we are still going to be Republicans. We are still going to do what we do best. We will still fight for those Republican causes. But what I fear is the ineffectiveness that the Kansas GOP will become.
Now, if the Rules Committee decides that maybe they have heard the Kansas voices and they will maybe still not agree with all of it, but at this point in time, take a deeper look and review this at a later point in time and continue on as we are for right now. We're going to be the thank you. We respect the fact that you've listened to our voices, which is what all leadership is supposed to do, is listen to the constituent voices. And we're going to just say thank you. We appreciate the fact that you've listened. And we're going to still be one.
That's correct. Nobody wants the divisiveness.
No.
And it's not just our organizations that are speaking out on this rules change. You have each of the directors of the congressional districts. They have come out against it. Multiple county central committees have come out against this because they recognize it for what it is. It is a power play. It is concentrating power down to a few select individuals on the executive committee, and they recognize that by removing our groups from the executive committee, that it does nothing but further the divide and cause division, and even on a national level give the optics that basically are counterproductive to every single thing that we are trying to do to get Republicans elected.
Now, one of the reasons Watch Kansas has been kind of quiet for a while, everybody knows that, but one of the reasons we decided to take this series on was because my phone was blowing up.
Yes.
Tracy, what are we going to say? Tracy, what are we going to do? Tracy, we want to talk. Tracy, let's get out here. We've also put a lot of videos up with permission from other organizations and such. Please, for a lot of times it's clips, please, for more information on that, go to whatever organization or whoever the individual we posted their videos for. Please reach out to them. Feel free to reach out to myself or to Laurel if you have additional questions regarding this. I know we're happy to answer to the best of our ability, and more than happy to help, and we'll have contact information as always at the bottom.
One thing I want to remind everybody is that you'll hear from those who support the rules change that we are special interest groups. Nothing could be further from the truth. Second of all, it's actually kind of offensive, because what is our special interest?
Elected Republicans? We are special interest.
There you
but
go.
Hang on, that's what we're supposed to be.
That is exactly what we're supposed to be. And that's why we are part of the Kansas GOP Executive Committee. Yes. Our special interest is the Republican cause, because we believe that the Republican Party is the closest to the Constitution, and that those documents that govern us, that's what we are fighting for. Smaller government, lower taxes, individual liberty. That's our special interest. As I stated earlier, following the Declaration of Independence, that is our special interest. So when you're confusing that just because our demographics are a little bit different, whether it is the Black Republican Council or the RNHA, or as the Kansas Federation of Republican Women, different perspectives do not make us special interests. And so I would encourage those who are supporting this rules change to realize that if we are going to keep Kansas red on all levels, then we need to stop this division. We need to get to the work of getting Republicans elected, first for this coming election on school boards and local municipalities, and then next year we've got a White House to take back. That should be our focus, not this.
And I've got friends in all those organizations. So,
well, I
think that sums it up, doesn't it?
It does sum it up.
We're all on the same side.
We are all on the same side. In fact, I was just at the RNHA, Republican National Hispanic Assembly of Johnson County meeting just this past week.
Oh, yeah.
And my son is Hispanic, Latino,
yeah.
and so we all are on the same side. As you stated, we are all on the same side. We have to focus on the task at hand, and that is to get Republicans elected, period.
If you have any questions about local candidates that you are interested in, or not for sure how to work for or get involved with the candidate, you can reach out to either one of us. We will put you in touch with that community and or that candidate if we're particularly familiar with that candidate, and that way you can help the cause also.
Sorry.
Well, Laurel, thank you so much for joining Watch Kansas today.
Thank you for the opportunity.
I think our next videos with Laurel, you're going to see her in a number of videos with different parts of the KFRW and different women, and she has some great ideas for a series she's wanting to start on. So please check back. So reach out, and until next time, this is Tracy and Laurel talking to Tracy. Have a great day.